Hey there, welcome. I'm Christine Weber. I love to support mature yoga teachers and getting your wisdom out there into the world. So thank you for being here today. I took last week off, which was really nice, and now I'm back. I want to talk to you about downward facing dog today. Um, Sorry, my phone is doing weird things. Let me make sure I'm still live. Okay. I want to talk to you about downward facing dog today. And the reason I want to talk about it is because I don't know about you, but I have been to a gazillion classes that started with down dog or almost started with down dog. So it was like, okay, let's start with sun salutations. So down dog's in there, or let's just start out of the gate with down dog, or maybe we do a little cat cow and then down dog. And so down dog is often considered a warm up pose. Have you ever noticed that? Now, let's do an experiment. Here's what I want to do today. Let's do an experiment. So I hope you haven't done any yoga, or maybe you did some yoga this morning. I don't know, but you haven't done any yoga in like the past hour. I hope. Okay. So if you have, then don't do this. You'll have to come back to the video later and just come down to your mat and pop up into down dog. Okay. So, and just feel what it feels like. So kind of tune in, low back, my legs, my arms, my shoulders. Just tune into all of that. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is spend the next 7 or 8 minutes, maybe 9. I'm going to spend the next 7, 8, 9 minutes taking you through a sequence to get you to down dog. But I want you to remember what you just felt like. You have to remember that before we do the sequence. Okay. I mean, because otherwise the experiment doesn't work. So if you're not quite sure, go back and do down dog again, and then come and join me here. All right. So we're going to start with knees into chest, your hands on top of your knees. This is called Apanasana. Take a breath. And when you exhale, hug your knees in towards your chest. Use your belly. Notice what's happening in your low back. And then do that again. Inhale. Nice long breath. Exhale. Use your belly. Notice your hips, your low back. If you're not noticing much, that's okay. It's meant to be very subtle. Just do one more of these. Okay. Then from here, put your right foot down, put your hands behind your left leg. And as you inhale, push your left heel, the heel, not the toes, up to the ceiling. And then exhale the knee into your chest again. And do that again. Push the heel up. So you got to work your foot here. If you want it to be a little more intense, hold that big toe instead of the back of your knee. Or you can grab the big toe at the end. Okay, this time stay here. Work your foot, push the heel up strongly. The toes are coming in towards your face. Push, push, push. Work the back of your leg. If it's not enough, hold your toes. Keep your hips down though, right? So I'm not, or you could use a strap here, of course, too. I'm not letting my hip come off the floor, my sacrum come up off the floor. I'm just working the back of the leg. Take one more breath. And then release that foot down. And before we do the other side, notice all the radiant sensations in the leg that you did, especially the back of it compared to the other leg. Really, we were practicing for like a minute and a half. Just take a moment and tune into how different that is. And then slide your hands under the other leg. And we're working with the inhale as if we're spreading the prana into the back of the leg. And when you exhale, the knee towards the chest. And do that again. Like I said, we're going to just be, this is super short practice just to demonstrate one thing, which is what goes on in a pose when you prepare for it adequately and how it feels quite different. That's all we're doing here. But you got it. The work is in your perception. The work is in your understanding. This time we'll stay. Some people might want to grab the big toe or grab both toes. You're welcome to do that. It's also really good to just work the leg. So I'm just working my toes really hard, working the back of my leg, breathing into it so that I'm working the muscles, not necessarily just yanking into the back of my leg by using my hands, but just working the muscles. One more breath here. And then release that and give the knees a little hug in again. Okay, bring both feet flat. Take a moment to pause here. And next, I'm going to inhale, lift the hips, and I'm going to lift my arms up over my head onto the floor behind me with the palms facing each other. I couldn't care less how high you lift your hips, but what I do want you to do is engage your hamstrings and your glutes. So you're using the muscles in the backs of the legs. We're also warming up the arms a little bit. Now the arms float up and exhale back down. This time we'll stay in the pose for a few breaths. So inhale, lifting the arms and the hips up. I felt like I needed to get my feet a little closer to my butt there. And then maybe you want to slowly glide your arms, palms facing up, down a bit. Just let them come down. And maybe you kind of roll one shoulder to the other and kind of opening up the shoulders a little more, really engaging the glutes and the hamstrings here a bit. Nice, long, slow breaths. Last one. And as you're ready, rolling, floating back down. And just pausing here for a moment to stop and notice. Nice, long, slow breath. Take your time. Take one arm up over your head, roll to the side. And now we're going to come up to tabletop pose. Okay, so you're on all fours. Take a breath in, lift your chest and face. When you exhale, start to press your hips towards your heels, bend your elbows. They don't have to go all the way back. Notice that there's some lengthening happening in that lumbosacral, thoracolumbo-lumbosacral fascia in the low back. So we're letting ourselves move back and feeling some openness a little bit. The elbows are bent. This time we'll stay, maybe all the way down. And from here, walk one hand forward on your tippy fingers, tippy toes, tippy fingers, and your other hand. And take a couple of breaths into your armpits. Just feel a little openness in the side body. Maybe wiggle those fingers a half a centimeter further forward. Another breath. And then release that. Press yourself up to seated. So by seated, I just mean Virasana, just sitting back on your heels for a moment to pause here and notice. Just kind of tune in for a moment here. And then mindfully, we're going to come up to standing. Step your right foot forward and your left foot back. I think I'll do it this way, right foot forward, left foot back. Straightening the right leg. Now let the arms come out to the side, either just kind of floating or they could be cactus. You could do either. Take a breath in. As you exhale, we're going to come halfway forward, draw the belly in. Pause here at the end of your exhale and notice all the sensations in the back of your right leg. Scoop it up, so like a cobra to come up. Do that again, but this time, maybe you go 2 or 3 inches more. Belly's working, pause at the end of your exhale, and then scoop up like a cobra with an inhale. Do that again, maybe 2 or 3 inches more. Working the belly here. I'm lengthening my spine, lengthening the back of the leg a bit. Scoop up a cobra. We'll do that one more time. Decide where you want to go. You could go all the way down. You could go halfway. And this time we'll stay. Right, so you go all the way down if you want. It's up to you. We're going to stay here in the pose for a few breaths. And use your inhale to feel a little lengthening in the spine, and the leg gets a little straighter. And then your exhale, soften that front knee and release down. So you could even do that if you're here. One more breath. And then we'll scoop up on the inhale like a cobra. Exhale, release your arms down, step your back foot forward. And before we do the other side, you want to take a moment here and tune in. So, how does your breath feel? What do you notice in the back of the right leg compared to the back of the left leg? I know we've gone a little bit more than 7 or 8 minutes, but it's going to be short, I promise. We're almost there. Now, your left foot forward, your right foot back. It takes time to prepare. In other words, what I'm trying to show you, it takes time to prepare. Okay, so again, float the arms or cactus arms. Take a breath in. Let's work this. Exhale, draw the belly in, maybe about halfway. Scoop it up on a cobra as you come back up. And I found myself wanting to lift the toes of my front foot. That's just fine. That's a good thing too. Maybe 2 or 3 inches more this time. On the exhale, belly firm. Inhale as you float back up. Do that again. Maybe go a little bit further. There's a pause at the end of the exhale before you inhale back up. You want to use a little bit of ujjayi here. And this time you could go wherever you want. You can go halfway, go a little further, go all the way down, whatever is comfortable for you, because we're going to be working in this pose, right? So the inhale is where you work, straightening the front leg a bit more, lengthening the spine a bit. And on the exhale, you soften down and soften that front knee. Isn't it great that your knee bends so you can bend it when you want to? We got 2 more nice long slow breaths here, taking your time. This is all staying in the pose, by the way. This is holding a pose that I'm doing here. And there's nothing static about it. It's very dynamic. Use your inhale to come back up. Release the arms down. Step your back foot forward. Check out the way the backs of your legs feel now. Again, right leg compared to left leg. Check out your arms. I usually would do a little more shoulder work. Maybe we'll just give ourselves a hug before, because the down dog involves a lot of extension of the shoulder. So I'd usually do a little bit more stuff with the arms, but I really wanted to show you the backs of the legs today. Okay, so then we want to do one more. Hands on your hips. Take a breath in. Exhale, slide down, soften your knees a little bit, let go of your head. Cobra, lengthen your spine to come back up. Doesn't mean you're doing a cobra, but it kind of has that sensation. Do this again. Maybe just go halfway up. And this time, let's do this dynamic forward bend hold, right? So, like people say, hold the pose. This is how I hold a pose. So, as you inhale, the backs of my legs get longer, even lift the toes. And as I exhale, I soften and round my spine down, and the knees bend as well. And so, inhale, there's a lengthening of the backs of the legs. I'm lifting my toes, my spine's getting longer. And exhaling down. Okay, and then when you're ready, lengthen your spine to come back up. Please come back down to tabletop. Okay, I think we did all of this in it took us like 14 minutes. I wanted to do 7 or 8, but that was overly ambitious. So we're doing inhale tabletop, lift the chest and face, curl the toes under. Exhale, lift your hips up and back. How does your down dog feel in this moment? And do it again. Lower the knees down because we're not going to stay there yet. And exhale back. And one more time. And then this time, if you like, you don't have to, but if you like, just stay here for a breath or 2 or 5, just so you can really check in about how it feels compared to when you first did the pose, right? So I had to do the pose cold, and then I had to do it the second time. And I want you to notice the difference in doing down dog straight out of the gate between an adequate preparation for it. And again, I only like sometimes I actually teach down dog as a quote peak pose because it's such a different pose when you prepare for it. And this is what the magic of sequencing is all about. Let me know what you think. I'd love to know what your experience was like doing this video. Love to hear more from you. And if you want to find out about my upcoming workshop, click on the link that is included here. I'll put it in Instagram later. And I hope you enjoy it. All the best.